Here's another victory that is being played as if it were somehow controversial or something's wrong with it and there's a great outcry about it. Absolutely untrue. Kansas City Chief kicker Harrison Butker, great kicker, great player, absolute stalwart. These kickers, they only have to show up like 2 or 3 times a game, but they have to show up in moments of tremendous pressure. He makes a Catholic speech to a Catholic college, Benedictine College, and students graduating from a Catholic college as Catholics, and he makes a Catholic speech to them. And he loves the Latin Mass, so we don't have to worry because the FBI is on him. And he told the young ladies there, I know you think you want careers, but what you really want to do is be wives and mothers and homemakers. And more important than a great career doing useless nothing for a corporation that couldn't care less about you is your vocation as motherhood. Okay. I totally agree with this. I wish I could tell all the young women, I wish I could take them to my age for just 15 minutes so they can see how little they will care about the work they are doing and how much they will care if they miss out on babies and motherhood and homemaking. However, I have more complex stuff to say about that in just a minute. So let's remember, women's happiness has been steadily declining since feminism became a thing in the 70s. It's what the left calls the paradox of declining female happiness and what the right calls But the biggest story this week that feeds into what Butker said, before I get to what Butker said exactly, was this from the Wall Street Journal. Suddenly, there aren't enough babies. The whole world is alarmed. Birth rates are falling fast across countries with economic, social, and geopolitical consequences. The world is at a startling demographic milestone. Sometime soon, the global fertility rate will drop below the point needed to keep population constant. It may have already happened. Fertility is falling almost everywhere for women across all levels of income, education, and labor force participation. The falling birth rates come with huge implications for the way people live, how economies grow, and the standings of the world's superpowers. Now, what's important about this, right, is usually, since the 70s, women have been having fewer babies in developed countries. Now, part of that is because just instinctively, without thinking about it, people make more babies when more babies are needed, but if babies are living longer, in other words, if people are dying as children as they used to do, which is a wonderful miracle of science, which we should all stop every now and again and appreciate. It used to be like 50% of babies died. Now it's like 2%, 1%. People have fewer babies. You don't need to make as many. You don't need as many replacement parts. But now it's everywhere. And the other thing is, of course, as women get educated, when people get educated, they get stupid. People get educated, and unless they're also wise, they start to forget about the things that matter, kind of basic things that matter, love and being at home and having a family and all those are the things that matter. When they get educated, they start to think other things matter, which they just don't. Take it from me, really, because in 15 minutes, you will be my age. So take it from me. In the long run, they just don't. Mankind is now dying. Mankind is now not replacing itself, it's dying. The cockroaches are thrilled. Oh boy, now we get to evolve into big, gigantic, multi-armed creatures who play chess. This is this is an absolutely huge story. And the way they're going to try and solve this is with electronic wombs. Well, if women don't want to have babies, we'll just make them in these little wombs. And that's going to be a disaster because ultimately, they'll genetically engineer them. There'll be children born without knowing what matters in life, and they'll just die of apathy. Believe me, that is not going to be the answer. So feminism was invented. This is important. Feminism was invented to solve a real problem. The Industrial Revolution erased women's economic power. Right-wing conservative evangelicals are always talking about Proverbs 31. They're always saying, I want a Proverbs 31 woman. Let me read you a little bit of Proverbs 31, right? It begins, who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts in her so that he shall have no need of spoil. She'll do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Okay, everyone wants this girl. What's she up to? She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She's like the merchant ships. She brings food from afar. She rises while it's night and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants the vineyard. She girds her loin with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good. Her candle doesn't go out at night. She lays her hand to the spindle and her hands hold the distaff. Women used to be called the distaff. Females used to be called the distaff because they made clothes. right? You didn't go to the store for clothes. There was no store for clothes. Your wife was making the distaff is how you make wool, was making the wool, was making the material, was making the clothes. She stretches out her hand to the poor. She reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household. Her clothes. I mean, this is a businesswoman. This is a woman doing all these things. It goes on and on and on. So if you think that a Proverbs 31 woman is like, this absolute pure, untouched being who does nothing but, rock her babies, rock her cradles, this is a businesswoman. All of those economic cottage industries were destroyed in the Industrial Revolution. This is really important. This is when feminism starts. This is when Mary Wollstonecraft starts writing her books on the rights of women, right? It's when that happens, is when all of that economic power that women had, which is not, it's not about power, it's about respect. It's about being a contributor to society. People want to contribute. People want to feel respected, not just in their homes. I mean, mothers are just beloved in their homes, if they're good mothers. They're loved in their homes. But these are people who are respected because the entire society, they're holding up half the sky, as the old saying goes. I love this story. Who was it? It was Mungo, who got lost, I think, in Africa, and the women found him, and he was half naked, and he'd been robbed, and everything he had was going. He was starving to death, and the women brought him in, and they let him sleep in their cottage, and the women all got together and started to make clothing. And while they were making clothing, they were singing. And the song they were singing was the poor white man. He has no wife to take care of him. He has no mother to take care of him. How is he going to live? Those women knew who they were. They knew what their place in society was. So when that disappeared in the West because of an industry, that was what feminism was trying to solve. How to give these women back some kind of the dignity of being full participants in the society, and not just what they would call them in the Victorian era, the angel in the house, right? Women aren't angels, they're people. They want to build homes, they want to build families, they want to take care of children, but they're people. They also want to have respect in the community. And that was the kind of overblown respect of the angel in the house, was not the same respect as, this is the woman who makes all the clothing, who makes all the food, who grows the food, who sells the land, and all this stuff. So now we have these two different versions. First, we have the TikTok feminist wife who is out there. This is cut 6.
Here's a list of things that I don't do for my husband. You all know I don't do his laundry. He can do that himself. I do my laundry and we do the kids' laundry, but he does his own. I don't cook dinner. He cooks dinner every single night. I do breakfast and lunch for us and our kids. I don't pack him a lunch. If he's hungry, he'll figure out what he's going to eat for lunch the same way that I do. I don't make his doctor's appointments because guess what? He's not making mine. Would it be kind of me to do that? For sure. Is it my job? Absolutely not. I want him to be healthy, but he's a grown-ass man and he can book his own appointments, right? There's a lot of things that I don't do for my husband.
Yeah, there sure are. And he should do a video now. A lot of things I don't do for my wife. Like, I'm not faithful to her. I mean, come on. She's got a babysitter taking care of our kids. She's so feminine. My babysitter, I love her so much. So I'm sleeping with her. And, I just don't show up at home. She's a terrible wife, bragging about the things she doesn't have. So, okay, that's the thing that the right looks at and says, oh my God, these women are awful. But then there's this thing from the right, which drives me crazy. This is supposedly a Tradwife. This is cut 7.
I think it's been really interesting to see how shocked people are by the term Tradwife and how they seem to think it's some new way of living, like it's some unprecedented new trend. Like, have you seen these millennial and Gen Z girls? They just want to be at home with their kids. They want to have husbands and they want to take care of their husbands. They want to cook and they want to clean and they want to wear dresses. It's insane. When in reality, it's literally like the oldest lifestyle in the book. Before this, they were just called stay-at-home moms. And before that, they were just called women. But now our society has gone so far in the feminist direction that anybody who wants to live like a little bit old school and a little bit like how women used to live is fringe, right? Like an extremist. And I just think about how so many of us, since we were little, we were raised in this kind of boss babe feminist society that told us you can be so much more than just a mom. You can be so much more than just a wife. And so many of us listened and we, tried to climb corporate ladders and we boss babed so hard. Now, like, we're a little bit boss babed out.
So I have to tell you, I very rarely get offended by anything. I find this incredibly offensive. The left isn't worried about this kind of crap at all. They're not worried about this at all. They can make fun of this, and they should make fun of it. That's porn. That's, first, if you weren't watching, she's an absolutely beautiful, faultlessly beautiful woman. She's playing with her hair. She's brushing her hair. She's wearing this very cute, absolutely spotless white dress with little flowers on it. This is for men. This is for men to have sexual fantasies about this kind of trad wife. I couldn't help but look at this and think, like, what is it like to really be a mother? You know, like, I mean, I still live with a mother, but she was an at-home mother. My daughter is an at-home mother. You know, you're getting peed on a lot. You're getting thrown up on a lot. People are screaming at you all the time. You're managing all these millions of things. And, you know, that's demeaning. That is demeaning to real mothers and homemakers who should be getting the kind of respect. Now listen to what Harrison Butker said at this commencement address to the Catholic Benedictine College. And first, by the way, I just want to add that I'm not going to play this, but he comes down very hard on men being in the home. We need men in the home, being a father, doing hard things, doing the things that have to be done. None of this like Andrew Tate mock manhood stuff. He's talking about real things that we do for one another. And this is what he then says to the women. Cut 8.
I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
I left that applause in because a lot of the people who were attacking him said there was some applause. There was wild applause. And I just want you to stop for a minute, just in all seriousness, and compare this to a clown like Andrew Tate, talking about women. Compare this to that tradwife porn that came on. Here's a guy, he's a football player, right? I mean, that's a macho thing to be. He's a football player. He can't talk about his wife without choking up. And I'm choking up as I'm listening to it and thinking about it because I know exactly what he's talking about. What he is talking about is people who are in love. And yes, men and women are, generally speaking, different kinds of people who want and do different things well. But they're people still, and they want love, and they want to be respected in their homes. And the fact that the left attacked this guy so seriously, and I'll talk about that in a minute, shows you that he rang the bell. He got it right. He's talking about people in love, in a relationship of exchange of love. And all the talk that we get from the right about what a woman should do and what a man should do forgets this simple fact. These are two people in a relationship of love. And the guy can't even get through it without choking up. And I know exactly why, because I have a wife like that, and I can't get through it without choking up. This is the thing. We're talking about what humans are. And it's not that we've forgotten how to be men and women. It's that we've forgotten how to be people and what people are about, because this is what they're about. And they're about creating children. The only thing you'll ever do that will really, really matter is creating children so that the world, so that human consciousness and the experience of the world and the creation of souls that can know God and love God will continue. And that's why they're after this guy, because he told it like it is. For more great content, like and subscribe. And do not forget to subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.